Hello there. I'm just taking a look to see who's here. We've got a couple of people coming in. It's only 7 o'clock, so we're going to give it some more time for people to come in. We've got Reid here. She's all set up for her talk, and we're just going to give it a few more minutes. People are streaming in, and it should be. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking to learn a lot. For sure. I'll reintroduce myself when more people are here, but I'm Lisa Kelly, and I work with the Food Shed Alliance. I do grants and operations for them. And this is part of a series called No Farms, No Food, KNOW, No Farms, No Food. And it's part of a program that we have that is promoting specialty crop farms in New Jersey. We have a grant from the Department of Agriculture in New Jersey, and the specialty crop farm program basically promotes fruits and vegetables, or farms that grow fruits and vegetables. So it's not really grain farms or farms that grow protein. And so it is kind of weird. I always find it kind of weird that they call fruits and vegetables specialty crops. But that's what we're dealing with here. So what we really are doing is this is a series, this part of a series called No Farms, No Food. And it is to basically share with our neighbors information on better using and incorporating fruits and vegetables into our diets, and how do we better support our local farmers who are growing these things for us, organically, regeneratively. And we do a lot of promotion on our website and our Facebook, our social media of these farms as well. And you'll also see some of these farms doing special events to bring people in to get them on the farm and learn about what they're doing and how they're doing it. So it's really important that we all learn to talk, that we meet our farmers and we learn to talk to them and learn about their growing methods, because what they do is really important and is really amazing when you think about it. And we're really happy to be doing this, and it's been really well received as well. I just want to say that feel free to put things into the chat. You can put questions into the chat. Everyone is muted for now, and I will read some of the questions as they come up, and Reid can answer them. And we can also unmute you, and you can have a conversation, discussion as well. So it's 7:03. I'd like to give it another couple minutes, if that's okay, just to let a couple more people get in on this before we start. Well, it's 7:04, so let's start. Is that all right, Reid? You good for that?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, so this webinar is entitled Using Locally Sourced Herbs for Good Taste and Good Health. And it is basically taking herbs that are locally sourced from farms near us, that you can pack your food with amazing flavor and important nutrients that support your good health. Herbalist and forager Reid Giacomarra will showcase the benefits of using seasonal herbs from local farms in your cooking, as well as in creating tinctures, infusions, and balms. If you've ever wondered how you can use herbs for good health, this seminar is for you. We're very happy that you're all here. It is being recorded, and it will be posted on our website, hopefully by the end of the day tomorrow. So if you miss any part of it, or you want to go over it again, you can go there, or if you want to share it with your friends. So with that, Reid, I'm going to pop it over to you.
Okay. Greetings all. My name is Reid. I am a local herbalist, and I am going to show you talk about some herbs that you can find at the farmer's market or you grow in your own garden, and how to utilize them. We'll be doing several different things, but I'm going to talk about cilantro and fennel, garlic, rosemary, sage, thyme, onion, and ginger. And if you have any other questions that I can answer, some herbs that you grow in your garden or you find at the farmer's market, you can just ask me. So the first herb I'd like to talk about today is cilantro. This is the green part of cilantro. Cilantro is an annual here. It's native. I looked up some things, see where it's native to. I think it's native to the Mediterranean Asian area. A lot of people either love or do not like cilantro at all. I am a lover of cilantro, but they say there's actually a gene that may be responsible for some people loving it and some people not loving it and having more of a soapy flavor. Cilantro, it's used in a lot of different cookings, Indian, Asian, just looking at my notes, Spanish, Mexican, as we know. I used to work in a restaurant and they used to cook black bean soup and they'd be chopped up fresh cilantro and I'd run into the kitchen and I'd be like, where's the cilantro? Because I loved it so much. I like to turn it into pesto instead of basil or some other herbs that you like, or you can do part basil, part cilantro, just get very creative. Medicinally speaking, cilantro is, there are some studies, they're still studying, and if you go on National Institute for Health and PubMed, which I encourage you all to use that as great research and reference, because a lot of the plants that I am talking about, or plants that you're interested in, spices and herbs, they do a lot of research either from different countries or the US, and they'll have those results in those papers. So cilantro, it has been one of the attributes for the leafy green is that it is a chelator for heavy metals. And what are heavy metals? Heavy metals are like an amalgam filling, mercury filling, which was what they used to use most times in dentistry. Now they've switched to plastic and ceramic, I think. But a lot of older people, myself included, I have one amalgam, but it seems so crazy that they put mercury in your mouth. But my stepdad was a dentist and he tried to explain it. But anyway, so also like lead is another heavy metal and other heavy metals. It is supposed to be help to chelate it out. You can use it as a tea or a tincture. Another herb, just because I'm here and talking about this, kelp has a chemical called sodium alginate, and they use it as a thickener in ice cream a lot. And sodium alginate is another chelator for heavy metals. And ground ivy, I should know that botanical name, but I don't. It's also called gill over the ground. It's non-native. It grows in a lot of people's gardens. That is also known as a chelator. So the greens, as far as nutritional value, it tastes delicious. It's aromatic. You could go on, if you wanted to know the mineral and vitamin content of most of these plants that I'm talking about, James Duke and the USDA database, there'll probably be all that information, like, B vitamins, minerals, but it's used medicinally as a chelator for heavy metals. And the seed, which I didn't learn until about 30 years ago, is called coriander. And when cilantro bulbs grows quickly, it goes into seed very quickly. You can let that seed mature. You can collect those and regrow them. If you have a patch of cilantro and it just drops, it'll regrow. But coriander seed is used again in many different cooking, Mexican, Asian, Indian food. It's used quite a lot, and it's actually a very good digestive, coriander seed. I don't have the seeds separately, but I do have a tea blend that I make, and this is it. And it is, this is a great tea to have on hand for anybody who has post meal, like you overate or your food isn't just sitting perfectly, or you feel a little bloated or gassy. This is 1 part coriander seed, 1 part cumin seed. and 1 part fennel seed. And you may even grow the coriander fennel, or you can find them at the farmer's market or at, you know, local herb store or something like that. And the way you make the tea is they're all very aromatic seeds. If you've ever been to an Indian restaurant, a lot of times they'll have fennel seed right at the exit, so you can just eat those and help with digestion. And what I like to do with these aromatic seeds that have still smell, this is like a year old and it's still amazing smelling. I would take to make a tea, and we're going to go right into making teas. I'm going to use 1 teaspoon of this mixture, and I'm going to put in the mortar and pestle. You don't always have to do this, but it does release the aromatic oils. And then I'm going to mortar and pestle it up. Smells good. I wish that we had smell-o-vision, but we do not. And then I'm going to put it in my French press. So handy. And then I'm going to put in, I have some hot water. And then I'm just going to put about a cup. I'm going to estimate, because this doesn't have the marks on it, about a cup of hot water. And I'll let it steep, you know, about 10 minutes or when I get to it. And you can add some honey if you like. But like I said, a great tea to keep on your little counter in the kitchen post meal, or when you're feeling a little gassy and bloating. So there you go. We'll have a taste of that after. So that is cilantro. I'm just seeing if I have any more notes on that. So like I said, you can find cilantro in your farmer's market, in your local greengrocer. You can grow it, very easy to grow. The next plant I like to talk about is dill. And lots of people grow dill. You can find dill in your farmer's market too. When I think of dill, I think of potato salad, maybe beets and borscht. It's again in that same family as cilantro. I should know that. It's not the Apiaceae, but fennel and dill. So these are some dill seeds. I don't have the greens on this. Again, it's another aromatic. But what is dill good for? Well, you do find a lot in food, and you can use the greens of the plant in your food, or you can also use the seed. Again, it's good for digestion. Fennel and dill, has anybody ever heard of gripe water? You can actually find it in Indian stores or herb stores or health food stores. They'll say gripe water. And basically what it is dill or fennel or anise seed that has been made into a tea, and sometimes it's preserved with glycerin. But that is basically it. And it's very good for infants. It can be used safely for infants or children or adults, again, for gas and bloating. It's one of those aromatic plants that all those oils help with digestive, like cramping and things like that. So again, how would I use the seed itself? I could, again, turn it into a tea, just like I did with the tea mixture. I could just mortar and pestle them a little bit, or if I'm in a hurry, just put them into a French press or a mason jar, and just put some hot water and let it steep. So that is dill. And I'm just looking at my notes and see if there's anything I forgot. It's actually, it says it's native to the Mediterranean. And dilla, a Saxon word meaning to lull or relax babies to sleep. So dill is from a Saxon word that means to lull or relax. That's really interesting. The greens of the seeds are used in pickles, potato salad, sauerkraut, fish, turnips. Borscht beet has dill in it. I don't eat borscht enough, and beets were coming into the beet season. And you'll probably find those in your farmer's market as well. They're great for iron absorption and detoxification, I do believe. See if anything else.
Reid, would the dill tea, would that be good for colicky babies?
Yes, that is as I said about gripe water. That is one of the herbs that is used in gripe water. And if you look up gripe water or if you've been to a store, I've seen it at Indian markets. And I used to work at a health food store, and we sold it pre-bottled, pre-made. And really what it is it's the tea, and it had glycerin and maybe a little bit of citric acid as a preservative, but it's very easy to make. You could, if you were a mom and your baby was colicky or gassy or bloating, you could make the dill tea. You can mix it with your breast milk. You can mix it with your formula. You can just give them the, body temperature tea themselves in a bottle or a dropper. And as I say, fennel too. Fennel's a little bit sweeter. You can mix the two, but again, dill is used. Like I said, I didn't learn this until I was looking these things up. A Saxon word, dilla, meaning to lull and relax babies to sleep. So yes, if you have some fresh dill seed or even the greens, they're just not as aromatic as the seeds. And like I said, adults can of course use this. Next, I talk about fennel, because a lot of times fennel and dill are, if you see them, they look similar as far as the way the flower grows. This is still that somebody grew in their garden. It wasn't in my garden. You could probably find it at a farmer's market, or if you can't find the plant itself in the springtime, lots of farmers are now growing starts, which is great. And you could probably ask them if there's a particular plant you wanted them to grow, or if you thought it was popular. I know they're growing holy basil and calendula. They're growing more and more, herbs, beneficial herbs that people would like to try. So it just kind of looks like an umbrella. It used to be called the umbellifera, but they changed the name of the family, and it would make sense if you saw it in flower. And many of you, if you've seen dill or fennel, you'll be like, oh yeah, I know the shape of it. The seeds are sweet and aromatic, and this is the one you find at an Indian restaurant right by the door. Some people think it's kind of anisey flavored. You can gently mortar and pestle them to release the oils, and again, pour some hot water on it and let them steep. I find this is in that combination that I talked about, the coriander, cumin, and fennel tea. So that's a great combo. Great for gas and bloating. Fennel seed, you find fennel, the seed, a lot of times in sausage. You'll find it in Italian sauces. I had some recipes for it in tomato sauce. In dal, it's used in dal. Let me see. It's also great for relaxing the bronchial. So you could think about that as like if you feel like you're coughing, it could be put into a cough syrup. It's a diuretic, and what that means is it increases the output of urine. If you feel like you're like some swelling or anything. So it increased, like I said, urination. One of the biggest things I know that it's used for, and it's in a lot of it's used in traditional medicinals, mother milk tea. They also had, it used to be primarily fennel and fenugreek. I think they put goat's rue in there too, which is a herb that increases breast milk. So if you need to increase your breast milk, you're a new mom and it's slow to come in, you could make some fennel tea. You could drink several cups a day. It's sweet and delicious. You could sweeten it with honey. It's also like an antispasmodic. That's why it's great for somebody who keeps their emotion, their tension in their intestines and their gut. So it's very helpful for that. It is again used in gripe water. So that is fennel seed. Oh, I have some other fennel seeds. These were from somebody's house. Oh, and I have fennel bulb, which a lot of times you'll find at the farmer's market. Especially now, this is actually from the farm I work at. It's bred to have a bulbous root and not so much the seed, but the root is still delicious and you could still put it in sauces. It's great roasted. You can cook it on the grill. But here's a really cool thing, and you can use the green leafy part and put it in like, salads or whatever you want to do. If you have a baby who's teething, and any mother knows how hard that can be when the child is not going to sleep and they're so uncomfortable, and you can again give them the fennel tea. Oh, and you can cut the root, this bulb of the fennel, and you can make it so they can, sorry, that's my dog. You can hold it in their hands. You could freeze it, cut it to like, they'll be able to hold it. And then you can wrap it up in like a little washcloth or something, and then they can hold it and they can like just gnaw on that. The cold feels good on their gums, and it'll help with the gassiness and everything, because it's just their excess saliva is messing with their digestive juices, and that's why they're so uncomfortable. It creates all that gas and everything. So that's the fennel bulb. Any questions on fennel? We come to the next herb, which is very popular and very well loved all over the world. And it was probably just harvested in July, and people can plant it very soon. My dog is barking, sorry. It's planted like October, November. Last year it hardly froze, so people were even planting in December. That would be garlic or Allium sativum. It's native to South Asia, Central Asia, and Northwestern around. Garlic is used in so many cuisines. To many of us, it's very delicious, of course. And how is it used medicinally? Well, it's used a lot in respiratory things. A lot of times you'll hear people say, I feel like I'm getting sick. They'll either use the fermented capsules, but you can utilize garlic in your own home very easily, and probably many of you do. You'll just eat it raw, or you can pickle it. You can crush it up and put it in honey, and this is a great way for children to take it. And Roman, I forget Roman's last name. Roman passed away about 2 years ago, but he grew 140 different kinds of garlic. He was from Johnsonburg, New Jersey. He was a chemist by profession. But he told me if you take garlic and you crush it up and you put it in honey and let it just sit for 20 minutes, it takes out that kind of burniness. It still has all those active chemicals when it's raw, but it's the honey makes it more smooth and easy to take. So that's a great way to get garlic into children. You'll find it in fire cider, which now a lot of people, if you go on social media, or Rosemary Gladstar, her book, she was actually the one that coined that name, fire cider. And what fire cider is I don't remember the recipe exactly, but I'll be pretty close. It's horseradish, which you'll be harvesting soon, garlic. Some people put turmeric in, some people put citrus, hot peppers, usually cayenne peppers, and onions. And you put that in a vinegar base. So it's very easy to do at home. Look it up, fire cider. You can make your own. Everybody, and then you like let it steep, and then you add some honey. So
Yeah,
it's great for the respiratory system. It's an expectorant. It's a decongestant, meaning it helps drain your sinuses, and it will break up coughs. It's an antiviral, and this is from the National Institute for Health and PubMed. So it's been researched. This is just not historical or empirical evidence. This is done from research. Antiparasitic, meaning if you have any parasites or an animal has any parasites, it helps to remove those. It was used as before antibiotics were popular as they are, or before they were discovered and used. Garlic was used a lot as an antibiotic. Louis Pasteur talked about it, and Albert Schweitzer used it in Africa for amoebic dysentery. It was given to soldiers during World I and II to prevent gangrene in wounds. It's used to reduce cholesterol, and it's also used for hypertension, high blood pressure. Probably not real high, and always talk to your doctor about these things and do some research, but they are. Says it's best. So there is also some talk about, to cook. Is it just as active cooked, or is it not? So most studies, I think, say that it shouldn't be heated up to after 140. It loses some of its chemicals. Like I think allicin is one of the most, the biggest, or one of the part of garlic's chemistry. So you might lose some of that after it's heated up, but you'll have other chemicals still in the plant if putting in your sauces or cooking with it and stir fries and things like that. You can, a good way to use garlic is to add it at the end of your cooking. So if you make a stir fry, have your crushed garlic and put it at the end of the stir fry and just mix it in. It won't be totally cooked. Another great way to use raw garlic is pickling it and preserving it. Some people will mix it with olive oil and they'll stick it in the fridge in the back and they'll use it that way. They'll like puree it up. I like to do this. I learned from Rosemary Gladstar. She's one of my teachers, wonderful. And this is a really simple and easy way to preserve garlic, and it tastes delicious. I have some garlic from before. Oops, that's the one. I have some raw garlic that I peeled. And sometimes you turn green or blue. That's just the sulfur reacting, I think, to the air after you peel it. So you're not losing any of its potency or anything. And you can also cut these up a little bit more if you want, because some of these cloves are huge. And I'm just showing you on the small scale. I'm going to save some of this because I think I'm supposed to make something else with this. Okay, and this is all you really do. I have apple cider vinegar. You can either make your own, and you can find all sorts of recipes for that, or Sandor Katz has that's a great book. He is forget the name of the books, but Sandor Katz, like one of the original, came out with books about fermentation, and now there's so many great people talking about fermented foods. So, but this, you just really literally pour over. So there's apple cider vinegar on one, and then on the other, it's tamari. And what is tamari? If you eat Asian foods, you may know about tamari. I lived in Japan for a short time. It's sort of like soyu, but it's a little bit, I think, richer and denser. I'm probably giving it the wrong description. Tamari, brewed soy sauce. Oh, there it is. This one's gluten-free and it's non-GMO. So then on this one, so I have apple cider vinegar in this one, and this one I am pouring tamari. And you're like, oh my gosh, that's salty. What are you doing that for? But let me tell you, they turn out pretty darn amazing. So what I'm going to do, always on this, folks, because I am not always good about this. I don't have labels now, but I always encourage you to label what it is and the date what it is. You can put the botanical name if you want or not, or say what it is. Oh, this is the garlic and vinegar, apple cider vinegar. This is garlic and tamari. And the date. The date's important because then you're going to know what to do. So you can leave them just like this. After 2 weeks, you'll so the vinegar is like a solvent. It's an acid, so it's going to pull some of the flavor, obviously, out of the garlic, and the tamari is going to do the same thing. But this recipe, and you can, like I said, you can leave them just like that, and you'll have garlic flavored tamari or garlic flavored vinegar. You can use in all sorts of cooking. But what I like to do is, and what Rosemary taught us to do, after about 2 weeks, or whenever you remember, like a month later, it's fine. Pour half of the tamari and half of the vinegar out. Put those aside to use those for cooking, and add honey. So I have some local honey. This one's actually local from Westtown, New York. Then you pour, like I said, you pour out the half of the vinegar, half of the tamari, and you add honey. And then you just let it hang out there till you remember them, like a month later. And you can leave them like that, and they become so delicious. And everybody has a favorite. Some people like the vinegar and honey. Some people like the tamari and honey. You can chop them up and add them to food afterwards, and they're almost like a little cooked because they're in the solution. It's like almost like fermenting a little bit. So that is a great thing to do and to utilize, because if you have lots of garlic from going to the farmer's market, you get all excited about it, or you grew your own garlic, you know, if you don't do something with it, it will start to, by the time December hits, you know, you start to get some mold, or they're kind of punky and they're starting to dry up and not be so great. So you have to utilize that, crop. So that's one way I really like to do that. Okay. Oh, another great thing to do. I'm not going to show you because I'm going to show you something else, but I'm just going to tell you, is putting raw garlic into honey. Just get a jar, and you can chop it up, or if you have no time, just put it in a jar. Make sure there's enough honey, and put like use a spatula in your jar to get the air bubbles out. And some people like to put it like in you know, a warm window so it heats up, because honey's not a great solvent, but when you mix it with some type of heat, that heat is helping to be a better solvent to pull some of the properties out and the flavor of the garlic into the honey. If you leave it in there long enough, what happens is it almost crystallizes, and it's amazing tasting. And you can put it in your tea if you feel like you're getting sick or have a sore throat. Some people like to put it in a, you can also do this. You can put it in double boiler, the honey, and put your chopped or pressed garlic in there and mix it together. Gently heat it. Now, you might lose some of the properties, medicinal properties of honey, because it's antimicrobial, antibacterial. Honey is known to, it's so many medicinal properties, and like we have manuka honey and local honey, good for allergies. So if you heat it too high, it is 140 degrees, or it might be 95. You may lose some of those medicinal properties, but it'll still be great. And if you need it in a hurry, that's a great way to do it. As far as garlic, I'm probably forgetting some things. But let's say you're on. Here's an interesting thing. You're on a camping trip and you cut yourself, and you're like, I can't. You're pretty far away, backcountry or something. You could, and you had garlic in your backpack. You could chop some up and put that in there, and it would probably, hopefully, be helpful. Okay. So I showed you that recipe about how to preserve it. Okay, rosemary. Let's see what kind. I have dried rosemary. I wish I had some fresh. I didn't plant rosemary this year, just didn't get it to it. You'll find rosemary at a lot of farmers market. I know Kittatinny Mountain Farm, they grew rosemary, and I had it last year and I got big. Rosemary does not always survive where we live in Sussex County. There's different varieties that might be a little hardier, or if it's in a protected area by your house, like in a corner of your home where it gets lots of sun. Or you could, some people dig it up and they bring it in. Sometimes it survives really well, sometimes it doesn't. It's one of my favorite plants. It's a non-native to the US, and I say in California you can find it along the beach. It just like grows as a perennial there. It's just like the Mediterranean, and I have a friend from Cyprus and it grows as a perennial there. Rosemary is an antioxidant, meaning it helps with free radicals. So what's a free radical? If you ate blackened meat like charcoal, you cooked it too much on the grill, or rancid oils, it doesn't help the health of your cells. So that's why people talk about antioxidants. It's a great antioxidant. It's actually really good for memory, and maybe because of antioxidant quality, but it's also great for circulation to the brain. People would leave bits or sprigs of rosemary on graves or at memorials, because rosemary is for remembrance. If you're studying a lot, or you're just having you're like getting very forgetful, you could drink rosemary tea. You could, and it would taste great with honey. It's also great for respiratory things. You could have the tea, or you can make your tincture. You can put some in honey. It's here. I'm gonna just read this. You can make like an infused salt or sugar with it. Tincture, honey, oil. You can infuse it in salt or sugar. Choose the leaf and the flower. Actions, it's a digestive, nerve and circulatory, as I said, circulatory tonic. So what does that mean when I say circulatory tonic? Besides helping your brain probably get more oxygen and some more blood there, it's probably good for varicose veins and others like cold hands, cold feet might be helpful. You can mix it up with some ginger. Helps improve memory. It's sometimes left at grave sites, like I mentioned. It's said to give courage and lift spirits. A great tea combination might be mixed with lemon balm, another uplifting herb, easy to grow, non-native in the mint family. Tulsi tea, holy basil, or Italian basil, roses, rose petals, very good. Lavender, chamomile, and mimosa. You could mix any of those or just drink it plain. So that would be if you were like a little stressed out, you had like, let's say you had a big test, something like that combination would be helpful. If you infuse the fresh or the dried herb into oil, olive oil, jojoba oil, any oil of your choice, it's very good for a scalp massage, might stimulate hair growth, discourages lice, that's good to know. You can also use the essential oil, but they're much stronger. Gently to stimulate. Oh, it's also gently stimulates weak heart. And as I said, prevents cell damage from eating foods cooked at high temperatures. And I'm going to make something with that in a few minutes too. But so I talked about rosemary. If you have any questions. And then sage. There's another garden favorite and found at many farmers markets, either the starts or the plant itself. It's easy to grow. It is a perennial here. If it does die, it maybe got too woody or just had a harsh winter or something. But I got a plant that's like 3 years old, and they're almost like shrub. They get really woody. You can see that it's pretty woody down there. This is not white sage. That is out of the desert. This is garden sage, which I think is Mediterranean. Salvia officinalis. The parts used are the leaves, either before or after flowering or whenever you need them. It's a wonderful throat gargle. And when I think of sage, if someone said to me, I'm having the beginning of a sore throat, I would say, let's make some sage tea, and I'd add salt and have them use it as a gargle. Now, if you have a sore throat, sometimes warmth or cold is better for it. So you would just either pop it in the fridge or drink it warm. You could do that for several days, just, make a new batch every day when you needed it. You can put it in your bath if you feel like you're getting sick. Let's see. You can there's a couple companies. I know one German company, they have it in a sage toothpaste. You could actually make your own toothpaste if you wanted to. You could take dried sage or fresh sage, mix it up with salt, and you could add baking soda, maybe a little peppermint essential oil. You could add glycerin if you wanted to make it into a paste. Also, this company, they make a deodorant, and it's really just basically a tincture of sage diluted with some water, and it's in a spray bottle as a deodorant. And you can mix that with rosemary or just straight sage. It's great cooking. I know someone told me they like to take the whole leaves, and she heats olive oil and puts them in. They get crispy and delicious, and she puts them on top of food. It's also, so as I talked about fennel, if you remember, it was, and I didn't tell you exactly what it's called, like in the name, it's a galactagogue. And what it means is it helps you to produce more milk. So fennel is a galactagogue. And sage is an anti-galactagogue. That means if a mother was weaning her child and she wanted to help to dry up secretions, she could drink sage tea, and that would be helpful. It's also dry excessive sweat and saliva, maybe too much. It's also, I also found out fairly recently, and it was by Susan Weed, who's a herbalist in Woodstock, New York, and then I looked it up on National Institutes for Health. So I think there's it's phytoestrogenic possibly, and I could be saying it might be something else, But if you're suffering from hot flashes, menopausal hot flashes, you could take a teaspoon to 1 cup of water 2 to 3 times a day, and it should be helpful. You just have to stick with it. Don't expect 1 cup to work, but if you do it for several days, you may see and hopefully see your hot sweats decrease. And it's also good for a little anxiety. It's an antioxidant, helps with gas and bloating. I talked about the menopausal things, so that is fresh sage, and I'm going to make something with that after too. Smells amazing, and it's super easy to grow. And it's also antiseptic. Sage is antiseptic. Another, if I didn't say this already, antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral, anti-galactagogue, will diminish secretions of all kinds. The next herb I'm talking about is thyme. Another favorite, possibly maybe from the Mediterranean area, native to that area. I think, not quite sure on that one. I have some thyme here. I have dry thyme, oh, and I have fresh thyme. So there's all different varieties, again, cultivars. This is Thymus vulgaris. So this is the like official thyme, but like I said, there's lemon thyme, there's all sorts of thyme. Thyme, the parts used are the leaves, the flowers. I tried to get it before it gets too woody. It has a tendency to get woody. It is a perennial here. It might be better if you protect it. Sometimes the parts of it will die off if it's too cold or won't make it. It is if in full sunlight, it really thrives. We can use it as a tincture or vinegar and oil. We can put it in honey. It's great for sore throats. You can do like a salt, mix it with salt, and I'll show you how to do that. And you can use it as tea. It's astringent, antiseptic, very useful for upper respiratory ailments. So you could make this into a syrup and take it like that. You could do a steam inhalation. You can add it to a bath. I'm not going to show you steam inhalation tonight, but steam inhalations are a great thing to know for anybody, and maybe many of you are familiar with them. It's basically taking the fresh or dried herb. It's great to have dried, fresh, good quality, either from your own garden or from a farmer's market thyme, and dried for winter use, or if you have a fresh plant in your house. And you take a pot or a big bowl and you put like a handful of thyme leaves in there. You could add some sage or lavender, oregano. These are all herbs that are great for the respiratory system. Thyme breaks up that, if you have a cold, especially in this area because it's moist, colder, so it's like a damp condition as Chinese or energetic medicine. So thyme is really great for breaking that up. So again, you take your pot or your bowl with your herbs, just put thyme in, boiling water, cover it with a plate or something to let it steep. And then you go in there when it's safe enough to put your head over it and put a blanket or a towel and just inhale all the aromatic oils that go in there and help with your respiratory, to help break things up, especially if you're kind of coughing and it's loose and rattly. Also, you can make a tea with it. And then you could add and cook it down a little bit and add honey and make a syrup. You can use it as a tincture. You can use it as a tincture topically, probably on your lungs too. And there's lots of things I know I'm missing. Mostly though, and making this very strong tea, if you have a child who has a respiratory thing, you can put it into their bath water. You could put it in a foot bath or a hand bath. So that's thyme. I said it's also steam inhalation, warming and drying, good for damp and moist conditions and respiratory. It's also used for urinary tract infections, a UTI as well. It's antiseptic. Good combination might be mostly goldenrod, which is just starting to leave us now. It's just starting to turn brown, but that's a great urinary tract herb. And you can mix that with a little thyme because it's antiseptic. Antifungal, vermifuge, it's kind of like antiparasitic, helps to kill worms, parasites. Diuretic, helps to let urine leave if there's swelling. For bronchitis, internally and externally on chest. Like I said, you can use the tincture as a liniment, or you can infuse it in oil and put it in a sack. So that's time, and we're going to make something. I forget what, but we're going to make something with that. Onions, allium cepa. Everyone loves, or most people love onions. Some people are allergic to onions. You will find onions in your farmer's market, definitely. And some people may even grow onions. They're in, it's allium family or allium genus, maybe. What else? What other plants are alliums? Garlic, onions, shallots, chives, ramps, which are available in the spring. And hopefully sustainably harvested and grown, scallions and leeks, and I'm probably missing some. Antioxidants is quercetin in the onion skin. Quercetin is used as used for people's allergies. I think it's an anti-inflammatory and stiff joints, which may help with allergies. This again, information is from I think National Institute for Health. Slow tumor growth, antimicrobial as garlic. Heart and cholesterol may help with hypertension, high blood pressure, helps with candida, fungals. This is the National Institute for Health says high dietary fiber, it's rich in high dietary fiber. Perennial herb contains high concentrations of this folic acid, B6, magnesium, calcium, potassium, phosphorus, as well as others. Antimicrobial, antioxidant, antiplatelet, antihypertensive, that's high blood pressure, antidepressant effects, beneficial to digestive, circulatory system, respiratory. That's mostly what I use it for, and of course it's very delightful eating onions. It says that extract of onions and garlic kill parasites, wound healing as a poultice, tea, tincture, anti-cancer, anti-diabetic, anti-obesity, effects of hypertension. Okay, raw probably has the most beneficial chemicals, but I'm sure cooked has some too. So how can you use it medicinally besides eating these wonderful onions? So Ed Smith, who owns a company called Herb Farm out of Oregon, they make tinctures, the little orange bottle labels. He talked all about onion poultices. And a lot of people don't use poultices or something called fomentations or some of those other people would call folk medicine ways, but they were utilized and some cultures still use them, and you can use them too. So what do you do if you wanted to make a poultice? And why would you make a poultice, Reid? Well, if you had someone with maybe bronchitis and it was stuck and lingering, just child, adult, they're like, I can't get over this bronchitis. I took antibiotics. I still don't feel great. You give them some herbs to support them maybe. And then you say, well, hey, what do you have to do today? Let's try an onion poultice. So literally you chop it up and you cook it. You are cooking these, and then you don't have to cook it very well. You're not like caramelizing them like for cooking something. Cook them lightly, then turn off the heat. And while you're cooking them, have that person or yourself, if you're the one who's suffering, breathe in all those aromatic chemicals from the onion. And that helps right there to break things up. Then add a little flour or cornmeal or something to make it stick together. And you literally get some, you can buy this. You can use an old t-shirt. People use gauze. Some people buy the special flannel. And you take that mixture and you put it on, and then you fold it up. And then you have the person lie down on a bed or couch. And let's say you do their back first. You put the poultice, because it's the onion covered in the fabric. You put it onto their back with a hot water bottle, and then you cover it. Some people use plastic because it really keeps the heat in, or several towels, and you let that sit on them till it's not so warm anymore. They're like, okay, now it's starting to get not so warm. And you can do it on the front too. And if somebody's really desperate, Ed Smith, who owns this $1 million company, was like, I've heard people get up and like praise onion poultices. Some people use them for things behind their like ear infection. I think I even tried that once with my son. I'm sure there's lots of other wonderful ways you can use onion. Another way I'd like to utilize onion very simply, besides that poultice, is an onion syrup. And this is very easy. And I just did this one before. And I'll show you how simple it is to do. Here it is. And this is just, all it is raw onions. And I put in raw turbinado sugar and I layered it. So you're going to slice the onion. I have this raw onion right here. This bowl. You can just slice your onion pretty thinly if you can. If you can't, do the best you can. And you can just, and if you get some garlic still in there, it doesn't matter. You're just going to put the onion in there. And then you're going to take some of your sugar. And you're just going to sprinkle it. Now, some people don't like to use sugar. Turbinado is supposed to have a little bit more nutritional value. You can use coconut sugar or any kind of sugar you want. You can also use honey and just see how it turns out. Some people are like, I don't want to use sugar, and honey has more medicinal value. That's fine. Like I said, this is a recipe from Dr. Mary Bove, who's a naturopath up in Brattleboro, Vermont. So that's what you do. You just layer it, and then you can cover it with like a plate. And I leave it out before you go to bed or for several hours, and then it turns into this syrup. And it's basically a syrup. And you're like, okay, now that I have this onion syrup, what do I do with it? Well, you can pour it out, and since it's sweetened, you can give this to your children or adults, again, for respiratory things. And you could add it to other things. You could put some tinctures in there. So the onion helps as antiseptic, and it helps to break up something. If you could, you might want to add some fennel extract or fennel tea, because that's also good for a cough. But that's a great way to use those alliums for respiratory issues. And you, who knows, you might get creative putting in other things. There's that. Onions, we talked about onions. Again, you could pickle them too. You could put them in vinegar. Probably try them with tamari, just slice them up. I'm sure there's recipes for fermented onions. I talked about onion poultices. By consuming plants in the allium family, it could lower chances of colorectal cancer. This is by 79%. That it was on National Institute for Health website, or the PubMed one. Okay, ginger. You can't always find ginger that much, but actually more and more local farmers are starting to grow ginger. I know Kittatinny Mountain Farm, they grow ginger. It's lovely. It's almost like sushi ginger. It's tender. But I just got this at the regular grocery store. So ginger is really popular now, and for good reason. It's an anti-inflammatory. It helps with stiff joints. You can use it internally, externally as a liniment. You could use it for all sorts of digestive issues. It's a warming digestive. So if you eat too much, you could take a little bit, or if you feel like food is just sitting in your stomach and not moving, it would be appropriate for that. It's great if you feel like you're getting cold or flu. A nice cup of hot ginger root tea with some honey, some medicinal honey or some garlic honey or something like that. You could add it to a bath. You could do a foot bath or a hand bath. When I talk about these foot and hand baths, these are like odd things for us to even think of. I used them on my son when he was younger. But there is a famous herbalist from France. His name is Maurice Messaguet, and there's a whole book on foot and hand baths. That's all he did. And he had really great success. So you can try those. You could have an elderly person who's suffering from something or feel like they're getting a cold. You could make a nice foot bath and wrap them up in blankets and him watch a movie or something like that. It's supposed to work as good as Dramamine, motion sickness. I always, when I went on whale watches, I would bring crystallized ginger. I don't suffer from motion sickness like that, but I know other people did. So I would offer it to them if they were, feel like you're getting sick. That's a great way for kids to get it, high in sugar. But if someone's really suffering and they're like, I don't want ginger because a lot of people are like, I would just gnaw on the fresh root, but most people don't want to do that. And you could use crystallized ginger. There's even chocolate covered crystallized ginger. That's my dog again. Sorry. So what are we going to do with this root? Well, first it's from native to South and East Asia. It can be grown in a greenhouse, and that's how farmers, up in this area do that. You might be able to grow it if you had a greenhouse or a cold frame. You could try to bring it inside. People put it in pots and bring it inside to grow. It's warming, aromatic, digestive, like I said. Drink, hot ginger tea when fighting a cold and flu. It's a great, lots of people talk about like when the weather is changing, immune boosting soups, like with maitake mushroom, which there are some wild ones out there. You can find that at the farmer's market. Shiitake mushrooms, astragalus root, ginger root. Those are great herbs and mushrooms for the immune system. Helps with circulations in hands and feet. I knew someone that took that because she had Raynaud's, and she said it was very helpful as long as she took it every day. Motion sickness, it's an antioxidant, anti-tumor, good for women with menstrual cramping. You could drink the tea. You could do something what's called a fomentation, and what that basically is, making a strong tea, putting a piece of flannel or an old t-shirt in there and laying it on the area and covering it with a hot water bottle, or a poultice, but that's a little bit more intense, like more work. And cramping with diarrhea. So it helps with cramping. Warming, anti-inflammatory for arthritis, pain. You'll find it in a lot of different formulas. A New Chapter company makes a product. I can't think of it right off the top of my head, but if you look into any kind of anti-inflammatory formula, a lot of them have turmeric and ginger. It's used in so many different cooking. Indian cooking, it's used a lot. You can take it as a tincture or pill, or use topically into a liniment. So those are the herbs I thought, and most of them you can find at a farmer's market, either as starts as plants, or a farmer might have them, or you have them in your garden and are encouraged to grow or ask your farmer to grow them. And then I thought I'd go and show you some of the ways you could utilize that. And Lisa, how is time? Am I good or?
It's just about 8 o'clock, but if you want to keep going for a little bit, I think we'll be okay with it.
People, if I could be really quick and show you these simple, easy things. It's up to, yeah, sure. I'll be glad to do it. Okay. So I made this tea, I'll be really quick. What can you do with teas? Well, besides drinking them, you could add them to baths. You can turn a tea into a syrup and use it as that. You could turn it into hard candy. So there's something with teas, and I didn't talk about a decoction. Decoction's usually cooked in a pot. It's usually the tougher part of the plant, the bark, the tough leaves, the twigs, and it's usually brought up to a boil and simmered. So that would be a decoction as opposed to infusion, if you ever see that on anything. Simple tincture, a fresh tincture, and this is something like pretty important because people that do use tinctures, they're expensive. You go to the store, there's some really great herb companies. I used to work for Herbalist and Alchemist, and they make awesome herbal tinctures. But sometimes it gets pricey for people. So teaching people how to make a tincture, and if that's all that, we don't have much time, I'm going to show you how to do one real quick. I am going to do, hold on, find my notes here. Hold on. Oh, tincture. I was going to do a quick tincture of ginger. So we are going to do fresh. So what you use to make a tincture is alcohol. And why you use alcohol is because it's a great solvent. You can use water. It's a solvent. If you heat it up, it's a solvent. Vinegar is a solvent. But and wine. Actually, before they distilled alcohol, lots of people used wine as a solvent for preserving herbs and making medicinal things. So, but alcohol is a great solvent and preservative. It pulls a lot of the chemicals out of the plant. Not every herb, like if you made a mushroom tincture, you'd make a really strong tea and then add alcohol first. But we're making a ginger tincture today. So you can use it internally or externally. And the tincture, simple tinctures, the fresh is going to be 1 to 2 parts. And what does that mean? It means 1 part herb to 2 parts of the liquid. And I wrote out the ratio part that I wanted to use. Again, I apologize. I'm finding my notes here. Oh, here it is. Okay, so we're going to do a ginger tincture, and I'm going to use a 1/2 cup of ginger to 1 cup alcohol. So I'm going to cut it up. So you can do it this simple. People, when they go camping and they're looking for herbs, like wild herbs or whatever, they'll bring jars with them and the herbs. And find the herbs and bring just a jar and alcohol and make tinctures on the road. Herb companies, when they make them, they usually put in a high-speed blender to chop up all the cell walls, because then the herbs go into solution. And you can do that. I have a Vitamix blender, but I'm just going to chop them up right now. So 4 ounces, which is a 1/2 cup of the herb. And I'm going to pack this down pretty well. And you can cut it up as finely or not as finely as you want. Some people would even grate that, but that's like too much. Then you have your jar. You're going to put your herb, your ginger root in there. And we're going to put in, like I said, it's 1 to 2 parts. I wrote it out. It is 1 cup of alcohol. Delightful. This is a simpler method. You can get much more technical and weigh the herbs with the water and everything, all sorts of things, get the cylinders. So here it is, 1 to 2 parts, 1 part herb, 2 part menstruum, the alcohol. Give it a good shake. You always, don't forget, I'm not going to do it right now, but I would write fresh ginger root. You can write the botanical name, write the date. And the proof of the alcohol. This alcohol is 75.5 proof. But here's an interesting thing. The alcohol amount in like a bottle of vodka is half of the proof. So it's really 37.75% alcohol. So if you get a bottle of 90 proof alcohol, it's only 45%. 90 proof. If it says, this vodka says 90 proof, it's 45% alcohol. Yep, that's it. So I don't mean to confuse you. So there you go. That's your tincture, and you wait 2 weeks at least or longer, but 2 weeks, and you can every day you can like look at it. Kind of gets exciting. It's like having a little pet. You shake it up. And if there's any leakage here, because sometimes it leaked out, you can use a piece of wax paper to put in there. And after 2 weeks or longer, you can try it and you'll see the color will change, the alcohol is solvent and start to pull the properties out of the plant. Why I empower you to do this is because those tinctures are so expensive and people are suffering financially. You can make your own tinctures. They don't have to be perfect, but you can go online. There's lots of resources. This is a great book, Making Plant Medicine by Richard Scheck, who owns Horizon Herbs in Oregon. If you want to grow any medicinal plants, his company, I think it's called Strictly Medicinals, and you could tell your local farmer, hey, can you start growing these plants, or are you interested in any of these, or get the seed catalog. The catalog itself that they have in Strictly Medicinals is very informational. But this is an awesome book, and he's got someone cultivating and everything. They're a great company, Horizon Herbs. So, tincture. And do you want me to do something else?
Reid, that was great. The tincture, once it's all done, after 2 weeks or longer, you would maybe take an eyedropper full. How would you actually use the tincture?
Okay, so after 2 weeks, you're gonna, or longer, you can let it, some people say a month or 4 weeks. They say they like to do it 4 weeks. Commercially, they use 190 proof alcohol, but they dilute it with water because they check the water in the plant and everything. So 2 weeks to a month or longer, if you don't remember it, you strain out your herb. You leave your herb. You know, you're straining the alcohol from the herb, and then you rebottle it, and then you can take it. You could take it as in dropper form. You could take it as a teaspoon. Let's say you had you felt like you were getting sick, and you didn't have ginger tea available, but you had a bottle of your ginger tincture that you had made. You could just put it in hot water and drink that. The thing about making tinctures is it does pull out chemicals you don't always get from just, hot water from tea. And it's very convenient. It's a little concentrated. So if you're traveling, you can keep that little tincture bottle or that big tincture bottle with you. Plus, you could use this as a liniment externally. If you didn't want to use the expensive grain alcohol and you're just using externally, you could use isopropyl, but you can't drink isopropyl alcohol. That's the difference. So it's it's just a really easy way to do it. I'd say if I was, let's say if I was suffering from like circulatory things and I had Raynaud's, I'd probably do like a teaspoon twice a day with food. Because sometimes when you have a teaspoon on an empty stomach, it is alcohol, and anyway. Yes.
An added benefit, right?
Yes.
So you mentioned a number of sources tonight, the book that you just held up, and plus you mentioned PubMed and a couple of other resources. Would you be able to give me that information by email, and then I can share it with all of our attendees?
Yes, I actually wrote a whole bunch of things down, and I apologize I don't already have that in email, but I'll email it to you. And right off the top of my head, Mountain Rose has a lot of videos and recipes. They're a great resource for herbs and information. So, and a lot of people know about Mountain Rose. They're very popular. It was actually started by one of my teachers, Rosemary Gladstar, and then she moved on to start United Plant Savers and do many other amazing things. But yeah.
Great. So what I'll do tomorrow, once the video is ready and up on our website, I'll send out the link, and I'll send out all of your resources as well to everyone who registered for tonight.
Great.
So I want to thank everyone for coming tonight, and also Reid, for you to share all of your knowledge and your enthusiasm for this. It was great. Thank you so much. And I just want to say good night to everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.